And there we are. Hi, Laura. Hi, Chris. Oh, thanks, Laura. Laura says, congrats, Steven, surpassing 3,000 subscribers. 10,000 is around the corner. Yeah, it only took me 7 years to get to 3,000. Yeah. Well, this thing needs to be adjusted. Okay. Walter is here. He's mixing up the drinks. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Mel. Yep. We'll talk about those things today as well, and lots of other things. But having said that, I'm trying to hope we can keep the talk today a little bit light, because I'm sure we were all inundated with bad news. Every day you turn on the news is not very cheery. But then again, there are some issues that I think we need to talk about too, so it can't be avoided completely. But we'll try to keep things a little bit lighter if we can. Are you just about ready here?
Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah.
I just grabbed my pad.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Hi, Andy. So we're having Walter's fruity little concoctions. I have no idea what's in it.
It's peaches, frozen peaches, and frozen strawberries.
Hi, Dana.
And a little tiny bit of booze.
Well, Dana's having hot chocolate. Of course, you've got snow out there, don't you, Dana? Still. Why do I feel that you're sitting on my lap?
Well, move over. Hang on.
I can go. That's better. Are you practicing physical distancing?
No.
Jerk.
I should with you.
Yeah, really. Well, screw you. So we're just seeing who else is here. Oh, Dana said it snowed again yesterday.
Oh, there's little funny bits in here.
Little funny bits.
What's that?
I don't know. Looks like a bug. No, eat it. It's probably a crumb off of this when I dip mine in. Jeez. Chris just woke up. She's having coffee. Andy's stuffing herself with chocolate chip cookies and English breakfast tea. Hi, Jody. And Bonnie's here. Hi, Bonnie. So, yep. So, just got off the phone from my mother. She's fine. You having trouble?
Yeah.
She's fine. Her nursing home has not been hit by the coronavirus or anything. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for some of the other homes in our areas, especially in a place that's north of us by a couple of hours. Bob Cajun, they've had, I think now they're up to, they said this morning, 22 deaths. It got into the home, the virus, and it's wiping them out. It's a scary thing because, people in there already, of course, have all kinds of health problems, and so this just wipes them right out no matter what. Chris says, as it is afternoon where you were, I had some cake with my coffee. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's afternoon here, and it's afternoon the day before. Then from you, Chris. Because it's Sunday here, but it's Monday there, right? That always throws me for a loop when we were in Australia and then had to think about what the time thing and everything when we, contacted anybody home or saw messages from home. Yeah, it is, Laura. It's very tragic. And it's, I'm really thankful for the help at the staff at where my mother is, because they were proactive right from the very beginning. And they had a lot of people come into that home to visit, and they would bitch and complain about the actions they had started to take. And yeah, I hope those people appreciate the fact that they did take those actions at that point in time, because knock wood, keep your fingers crossed and every other part of your body crossed, but it's been good at my mother's nursing home, and I hope it continues that way. Jody says, do they take temps of employees at the nursing home daily, or are they taking certain precautions and not having visitors? Yes, they are. They are screening all the help when they come in every day. They have a whole protocol of what the staff have to do. And yeah, and of course, absolutely no visitors. I think they've had some complaints about that. Some people have been trying to bring in, it sounds like, little food items like chocolate or things like that into, their relatives, and they're not being allowed to do that. They're not allowed to get in the doors of the place. And, I get it. You want to do something for your relatives, but really, come on. Is their life worth a box of chocolates? Life is nothing but a box of
Bonnie
chocolates.
says only idiots would complain, but it's true.
And they are idiots. And there's a lot of idiots. In fact, we're going to talk about some of the idiot things we've been noticing lately, and we did something idiotic too, and we'll talk about that later. And Chris says, my husband has a conspiracy theory that Chinese government engineered the virus to remove older and frail people from their population, and we know they don't care about the rest of the world. You know something, Chris? I kind of, in some ways, it goes through your head, doesn't it, about this? Doesn't it make you think, we've always heard about the threat of having warfare and stuff like that. And the relations that the rest of the world have been having with China in the last little while, well, the Americans with the Chinese, but Canada too. We've had our issues with the Chinese. We still have some issues right now. I mean, they're holding some of our people still in prison over there because, we wouldn't let them have their president of their telecommunication system, whatever it's called. What's that called? The phone system. The Huawei, yeah, on that. And we got caught up in the middle of that because it was really, we have a treaty with the Americans that, if we have somebody that has committed a crime or seen as committing a crime for the American government, and they're trying to hide out in Canada, that we will extradite them. And we got caught in the middle of that. Now the Chinese hate our guts because we were doing what our treaty with, our neighbor wanted, kind of a thing, by our agreements and the whole bit. So, maybe your husband isn't all that far off in some ways, but these are all kinds of conspiracy theories. I even think it might be nature. Our planet is overpopulated to start with. We're destroying it. I mean, the air has never been so clean over top of Beijing and other major capitals of the world since this happened because people aren't out in their cars. And factories have shut down. And
it's not just Beijing, it's LA and Toronto and all the big cities, North American cities.
And your imagination starts to work a little bit overtime on things like this, and you think, maybe, in the natural world, in the animal populations, they have things that, will naturally control the population. So we aren't that far out of the trees ourselves. I don't know. And then there's the whole religious thing, if you're religious or not. Book of Revelation seems to be coming to life here. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, what would they? Plague, drought, war, and I forget what the other one was, but basically count them off.
And Bonnie says we should send her back to China when Trump's saying that he's not sending PPP to Canada.
Yeah. Well, I was going to come to that in a moment, so hold that thought. Laura asks, "How's your mom coping without visitors?" She seems to be okay with it. I don't know. She hasn't really been complaining. But my mother's got her faculties. She knows what's going on. She watches the news and everything on TV. The one person I have a bit of a time with is my brother out west. You know that. I mean, if you're a regular here, you've heard me talk about my relationship to my brother out west. There isn't one. And I've said to my mother, has my brother called you? No. I ask her this all the time. I get the same answer. Now, he used to call her every other week. But for the last year, at least according to my mother, he calls very infrequently, and in the last few months, or even more than a few months now, maybe in the last half year or something, it's like he never calls. But I don't know what to believe. I'm only getting one side of the story, and I know that when I call my mother, I'm lucky if she answers the phone. Today she answered it because I've told her, I'm going to let it ring, Mom. I'll let it ring about 15 times, so it gives you time to get to the phone and the whole bit. But nevertheless, she doesn't always answer. So my brother, he's calling from BC, so 5,000 kilometers away. She may just be letting it ring, and he doesn't do what I do, be persistent about it. So I don't know, but I decided, this thing is serious, especially in it's not a nice thought, but with what happened at Bob Cajun in that nursing home, I'm thinking, if this thing gets into where my mother is, she's a goner.
Yeah.
Because her body, she will not be able to fight it off. My mother weighs like about 98 pounds soaking wet.
If that.
If that. And, her health is generally actually not bad, but nevertheless, I could see it wiping her out.
She doesn't have a lot of strength.
No. So I thought, my brother might resent the fact that, worst case scenario, he never ever spoke to my mother, hadn't spoke to her for a long time, and then bingo. And with the way things are, he missed my father's funeral by his choice. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole. But it's part of the reason why he and I are a bit estranged. But
Yeah, because Bonnie said she didn't know you had a bad relationship with your brother or whatever.
yeah, well, it isn't because I created it. There wasn't anything to have a bad relationship over. The whole situation was that my brother decided, for whatever reason, I still don't know to this day really why. I mean, I can put my finger on blame and things, but I'm not going to play the blame game here. It is what it is. But anyways, back to this. So I sent him an email, and I said, Craig, Mom's fine. I told him that the nursing home had been proactive, blah, blah, blah. But I said, you really need to phone Mom. And I told him, she may not answer the phone when you call. Let it ring. Let it ring 15 times because it takes her a while to get to the phone. And I said, if she doesn't answer, call back in half an hour, try again. If she doesn't answer at that point, then just call. And I gave him all the numbers. Call the nursing home. Ask for the desk on the second floor, because that's the floor my mother's on, and say to them, hi, this is who I am. This is who I'm trying to get a hold of. She's not answering her phone. Could you take a couple of minutes and just go in and let her know that in 10 minutes time I'm going to call back so that she can be positioned by the phone where she can get it? The answer I got back was, yeah, he's tried to get a hold of her before, but the phone just rings and rings and she never answers it. And I said in the email back to her, I said, that's why you got to do the other plan that I said. Have the help there. I mean, I don't want to put too much onus on the help. They're busy as hell over there to start with. And the answer I got to that was also, well, I'll try again, but I'm really busy at work. My brother works for a hydro company, a power company out in BC. He's a manager. And yeah, they're probably very busy right now. People who are working in essential services, yes, are all very busy. But come on, it's your mother. You can find a couple of minutes in your day to make the call. So, I don't know. My mother knows all this stuff. I tell my mother everything. I don't sugarcoat anything that I tell my mother. I don't hide anything from her. She knows it all. And the reason I figure she needs to know it all. I mean, if she had Alzheimer's, if she had dementia, if she wasn't in her right mind, then I wouldn't bother. But she is. So, it is what it is. I just know that somewhere down the road, I'm going to get it in the throat from it. I got it in the throat when my father passed away because that apparently was my fault.
Just like when my mom was in a nursing home, and there was one lady that was in the room next to her, and she had 3 kids. 2 of the kids showed up all the time. The third one would never show up. And then the day that she died, the third one that never showed up suddenly had a big conniption fit that she hadn't seen her mother in I don't know how long. So
Yeah, so you know what they say. You can pick your friends, you can't pick your family. So that's what it is. But anyways, I let my mother know that because my brother is Golden Boy. No matter what he does, he's Golden Boy. So, yeah. Do I sound like I'm a bit resentful? I try not to be, but, you know, let's be real. Can you not be a little bit? But anyway, but my mother's fine. Don't know how we got onto all of that, but she's fine. Everything's good so far, and that's great. So just what are people saying here? Because I went on there on a bit of a rant. Oh yeah, that all stemmed from coping with visitors, yeah. I would send her home when Trump says he's not going to allow 3M to send PPEs to Canada. Oh, you mean, what's her name? The Chinese, yeah. Chris says something bad happens in the world every few generations. I guess it was either this or a war. Give me this over war any day. Yeah, true.
I don't know.
But then again, think about it. No, we wouldn't want war. But if I look at it from the point of view of being... I mean, I grew up in the Cold War days, like most of us probably did that are on here, because I think a lot of us here on this channel are all in around the same age group, sort of. And, you know, I remember always living in the shadow of the bomb, right? We used to talk about the potential of World War III, and it would be a nuclear war, and we'd all be wiped out, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, kind of grew up with that. And I know I always thought to myself, if there's a war, and I get conscripted, I'll have to go to war. And I don't want to go to war. I mean, that would be the worst thing ever. Well, they wouldn't conscript me now, but then war wouldn't be fought the way war was fought in the Second World War, something like that. A world war today would be, I don't know. So, but maybe you might have a chance. I don't know. Maybe not. It would depend. Drop nukes. No, you're not going to have any chance. But with this virus, you kind of wonder what your odds are on this one, too. I mean, we're healthy, but we're in the endangered species group. Not the top one, the second one. Like, we're over 60. So, you know, saw the statistics the other day, actually, from our Ontario government. Funny, 30 and under, no deaths in our province for 30 and under. Doesn't mean that some of them haven't contracted it, but they've recovered. They no deaths. And then it starts to go up from there. And of course, the highest percentage of deaths are in the 80 plus crowd. And then it comes into our group, 60 to 80. And then less, of course, in the 50s and the 40s. But I wonder what those young people have, those people under 30. What's in their system? I think they should be drawing blood from them and examining that. Or is it just because, just generally speaking, they should be healthier than older people? I don't know. But has anybody thought to do a little experiment on them? I mean, children, experiment. That's what they're there for, really. Let's see what's been saying here. Dana says in clean waters in Venice. Yeah. Of course, is it still sinking? Jody, she's not ordering anything from China temporarily.
Yeah, but pretty much everything you buy is made in
Yeah,
China.
like how do you know, Jody? The stuff that you buy in the store, a lot of it's made in China. A lot. In both our countries.
And if it doesn't say made in China, it has parts in it that's made in China.
That's the problem with China. Actually, it's the problem with us in North America. We've given all the business to China because they're
It's
cheaper.
to make there.
It's cheaper. Yeah. So, hi Yeti. Chris says families are tough sometimes. I don't speak to my siblings either. I'm the eldest of 6. It's like we grew up in different families. Yeah, I get along with my sister fine. That's not a problem. I mean, I got along with my brother over the years, but my brother and I are like night and day. We're very different people. And that's
since
fine.
he moved to BC,
Yeah.
basically it became more and more estranged, and
And there's some other factors that
yeah,
you know, and I don't want to get into the other factors because the other factors involve a certain individual in the family that is not by blood. Get my point? Smells like his sister-in-law. But I also don't, I try not to put the blame on any one individual. I don't know. I think a lot of it too is my brother doesn't want to take the responsibility. He's afraid that I'll dump something on him. Like, you're 5,000 kilometers away, brother. What can you do? My sister and I have done it all. And so, and I think there's a little bit of, he has some guilt in the background. I mean, at least I'd like to think he does. That he realizes that, you know, he hasn't been around to look after our parents when they got to the stage where they needed to be looked after. And then dad passed away very suddenly. And that was a shocker. And yeah. So anyways, but we don't need to talk about all that stuff. It'll bore you to tears. Bonnie says, as former nursing home staff, that often happens. The one that is away is always the golden child. Yep. I worked 30 years plus. Nothing you say isn't familiar. Yep. According to Trump, Bonnie says, this is war and he is now wartime president. Oh, yeah. You know that everything that Trump is doing and saying is all about him. And it's all about his reelection and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I feel really sorry for the American people. And I also am not feeling that sorry for the American people because somebody put him into power. And I don't know. I don't know how that happened. In fact, I don't think a lot of American people know how that happened either, from what I've heard. Laura says, we are fighting a war in a way, but we're fighting a virus this time. And Bonnie says, you are too old. Yeah. Yes, some days. Chris says, it's a race to stay healthy till the vaccine is developed. Yep. Mel says here, I'm not even sure how you say that, province, including Helsinki and your cities, were isolated from the rest of Finland 10 days ago. Bit difficult time as my 81-year-old mom lives in other provinces and can't help her at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same here for the older people are succumbing to COVID-19. Yep. My husband, Chris says, great-grandmother died of Spanish flu in 1919. Yeah, I think this one, though, is... I don't know if this is actually worse than Spanish flu or not.
Well, apparently, I watched a documentary in Spanish flu, and apparently you could come down with symptoms in the morning and be dead by night.
Well, I guess. But actually, yeah, well, 100 years later, we have a better system of healthcare, although that's a debatable thing.
It still made the same stupid mistakes.
Yeah, well, it seems like people who are getting the COVID that have compromised immune systems and other problems, they're going pretty quick.
And apparently a whole bunch of cases came up in Newfoundland where a bunch of people attended a funeral.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about stupid people, shall we? Like, really, they were showing pictures today on, I watch for our Prime Minister. He gives a daily update every day. And they were showing pictures of what's going on in Britain right now, in London. People are congregating. The weather's really nice, apparently, right now over there. It's spring. And unlike, where Dana lives, covered in snow, and they're out congregating, and they showed pictures. They're sitting in the parks. They're not physically distancing. The cops are coming in and telling them get away from each other, and the whole bit. And the one that I saw, it was sort of an aerial shot, like low aerial shot, probably from a drone or something. And there was two young people, young as they looked like they were probably late 20s, early 30s. They're sunbathing. They are sitting a bit away from each other, but not that far. And the cop approaches them, and you see the guy in a huff pick up his water bottle and stuff and look at the cop and say something to him, and like, you idiot. Really. I wouldn't want to be a cop doing that. And the same thing is happening in Montreal right now and in Toronto.
Apparently they've closed Mount Royal in Montreal and the island, The island that had Expo on it.
Yeah. But people don't get it. I mean, stupid. And it's happening in other places in the world too. And what do these people need before they get it? They need to get the disease and die? Well, then it's a little late, isn't it? So I
guess Bonnie said in Ontario they had a party last night and they received a $100,000 fine because they wouldn't disband.
You're kidding. Haven't heard that one yet on the news. Laura says, Ford here has said he will not rely on another country again for needed items. We'll make our own, putting our own people to work. Yeah, okay. That's political posturing with Ford. And that was something I wanted to talk today about too a little bit because, I call Ford, for those of you that may not know who I'm talking about, Ford is our premier of our province of Ontario. So equivalent to a governor of a state in the United States, that kind of thing. And he's an asshole, and I've called him Mini Trump. And I have to say that I have been a little more impressed with him during this crisis in some of the things he's done. However, he's still a politician, and he says he's going to put his own people to work, and we're going to do it here. He doesn't tell you what the logistics of that is. Okay, fine. They talk about retooling certain industries to produce the masks that we need and stuff like that. That's probably easier said than done. And it still costs money. And where are you going to pull this money out of the hat? Because apparently we have this horrible provincial and federal deficit that's just mounting into the trillions of dollars. To hear Ford talk, he did that before this whole thing started up, that how bad the last government left Ontario and all this kind of stuff, and he was going to balance the books and all bit. And now he's just out there saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you $1 billion for this and $1 million for that." And
it'll be future taxes.
Well, yeah, like when this whole thing is over and we're able to breathe again, we're going to spend years trying to dig out of the financial hole we're in. And that's for everybody in the whole world. That's not just us. That's everybody in the world. And where do they get the money? They get it from us, taxes. So although they're putting money into the federal government here is putting money into, help people who are without jobs now because they've had to be laid off or they're not essential workers or, their companies are not essential companies, so they've closed them down the whole bit. So they have all these subsidies for them in the whole bit. Well, it's not like they just go and print money. Well, actually, they can. But
but it devalues.
It devalues. Well, yeah, look at Germany after the First World War. One of the things that led to the Second World War was the fact that Germany had so many war fines to pay that their money became so badly devalued that, and it contributed to the whole idea of a world depression and all that, but that's economics. But we will be paying for it. So, so someone like Ford comes along and goes, yes. He can stand on his soapbox, and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But the reality is, that should have been done way before we ever had this crisis in the first place. We were told too that, they were going to fix the healthcare system in our province. There would be no more hallway medicine in the whole bit. Now we're finding out we don't have enough equipment to handle something like this. And they were talking about how prepared when it first got started, how much we learned from the SARS problem that we had here back 10 years ago or whatever.
Well, we only had a handful of SARS cases.
Yeah. So, but we were well prepared. No, we're not any more well prepared. And that's because of politicians more than anything else. It all has to do with the almighty dollar. So, let's see, miss anything. It was on the news this AM, that thing about Toronto. Well, it doesn't surprise me, and good. But you want to know something? I don't think the fines are going to have an effect on these people because I think they're laughing and they're going, yeah, you can't get blood from a stone. Yeah, I don't have any money right now. I'm not going to have any money after this. What are you going to do? And they probably have that mob mentality, like you can't fine us all, or you can't put us all in jail because we don't pay the fine. That's how some of these people are thinking. They're idiots. They're selfish individuals. Because, I never will take away the right for somebody else to choose to die. But you don't have a right to make me die. Simple as that. You want to die, you go right ahead and die. That's your decision. Just don't take me with you or anybody else with you, because that isn't your right. And come on. It could be a lot worse. So you're being isolated. You know, the people that this is really hurting, the isolation, are probably people who are used to being isolated anyways because they can't get out to start with. So, you know, yeah, it's an inconvenience. A major inconvenience. Yeah, our lives have changed, haven't they? From what we did before.
Yeah, I went grocery shopping the other day.
Oh, yeah, tell your
It
story.
was a different world out there.
Well, tell them about that.
Well, I went really early. I'm not a morning person, but but it was a little confusing because the grocery stores are supposed to be open at an hour first thing for seniors, but I couldn't figure out what time the grocery store was supposed to open because I saw 3 different things. I saw that it could be open as early as 7, but I didn't see anything that said that it was open at 7. It was supposedly open at 8, but then another thing I saw was open at 9. So I wasn't confused if there was senior shopping between 8 and 9 or if it was actually open at 7. So anyway, I went at 8 because, and I have a feeling it was open at 7 because I was going to ask one of the employees and I forgot. Because I saw older people putting groceries in their car when I arrived and I got there at 8. Well, I didn't have to stand in a line to get in, which is good. And I walked right in, and there was a number of people in there. Some people were wearing masks and some weren't. I was wearing a homemade mask and gloves. And just in case, I don't know if it would do anything, but I thought, well, I better do it anyway. I had a list in hand, and
you had the list organized according to where things were in the store too,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
did,
you didn't
yeah.
have to waste time.
no, I didn't. But then everybody was in the produce section when I got there, and
Oh.
the produce section was the first thing. So then I decided to go halfway down my list and go to another section and work my way back because there were like too many people in the produce section. You couldn't keep away from them.
Well, yeah, and then
And then there was one woman, she didn't have a shopping cart, but she had a baby stroller in there and a screaming kid. Well, I'm sure she had to go there for whatever reason and had to have the kid with her because,
why else would you take a kid?
yeah, I know. So they did actually help just pull her off to the side and I had her sort of give her not authority, gave her a priority to get out type of thing. And then there was this older guy, older than me.
Oh
And
God, he must have been ancient.
He was walking around, ignoring social distancing, walking up to people and trying to talk to them. And I saw people backing away from him, and they were actually sort of polite. I was going to tell him, get the F away from me if he was going to do that to me. But, he said everybody should be smiling. Nobody's smiling in here. That's what he was going. Like, yeah, everybody was serious because they want to get in there and get out. They
Yeah.
don't want to have a party in the grocery store.
And you said there were 2 old ladies in the bread section.
Yeah, there were 2 old ladies shopping with each other, and they parked their car in a bad spot in front of the bread, and they were spending half an hour picking out loaves of bread. Like, I wanted to get in there and get tortilla shells, and as it is, I forgot tortilla shells because...
Oh no, my life is over. No tortilla shells. Yeah, so it like you're saying about that old guy. It was like yesterday. We did something stupid yesterday. Okay? We thought we were doing something good, but we did something stupid. Our quilt store, our local quilt store, is of course closed. Fine. But the owner of the quilt store put out an email earlier in the week saying she was doing curbside orders. If there was something you needed, email her. She would have it ready, and on Saturday, which was yesterday, between 12 and 3, she would be at the
Yellow
store.
straw.
What's that?
Were you yellow straw?
I guess, I don't know. Between 12 and 3, you could come over to the store. She would have everything at the front of the store ready for you to pick up, and you just pick it up, go away, and then you could e-transfer her the amount that you owed for it all. So we're thinking, quilt store is not very big. We don't want to see her. It's a mom and pop shop. We don't want to see her go under, with all of this. And I thought, well, I could use some plain white fabric. And I'd order a bolt of plain white fabric, okay? So she wouldn't even have to worry about cutting it. She just pulled it off the shelf. There you go, bolt of white fabric. Because, that's about $150 worth of fabric. And I figured to help. And then Walter had an order in that had come in just before all of the store had to close down the whole bit. And he never got there to pick it up. And it was some embroidery threads. And it was a fairly large order of embroidery threads, to the tune of about $350. So between the two of us, we had about $500 worth of product. So we figure, this is going to help her out. Well, she never wrote back the email. So we figured, okay, we had written her a couple of emails. We figured, okay, whatever. We're not going there unless we get a confirmation that everything is okay. We can go and get it, like they have it there and everything, not to dilly-dally around or whatever. And we finally got an email from her, but at about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, that, yeah, she had the stuff. You can come down and get it. So we went down. We sat in the car. There was a lady in the front entrance of the store standing just inside the door. We were waiting until she was long out of there. She left. We went in. Our stuff wasn't ready, but she'd gotten over 260 emails. She was trying to sort out 260 orders, basically, and the whole bit. Her husband was there helping her. She had some of the orders already in bags and with people's name on them right when you walked in the door. Ours was not one of them. But we kept our distance from her, and she was very careful about the whole thing, and we got, as quickly as we could, we got her stuff, and we're leaving. As we're leaving, there's a guy on a cell phone standing inside the door, and there's a woman wearing a face mask looking at all the bags, looking for probably her order. You can't get by them because the door entrance where the way it's located is very, very tiny spot. So we politely stood way back. Now, my idea was, you will notice that we are there headed towards the door. If I was in their place, I'd be going, oh, just give me a second, I'll just go right out. No. So I had to say something. And I felt bad about having to say it, but I said, excuse me, we'd like to get out and you're too close, is what I said. Well, the guy on the phone immediately went out the door. He's still on his phone and walks away from the front of the store. The woman I couldn't really see her face very well, but I think she was a little perturbed that I had brought this up because she was busy going through all these bloody bags looking for her stuff and whatnot. And, but she did move out too. And I said, I'm sorry I have to do this, but it's guess this is the new norm kind of a deal. But the whole thing made me feel creepy. And when I came home, immediately washing my hands and everything, I just felt, it was a weird feeling. I was paranoid. And I don't usually get that paranoid about things. Occasionally I do, but not like that. But it was because, I've been in the house and staying in the house for so many weeks now and the whole bit. This seemed weird to go out there. And then you're afraid, all this to get some fabric. So I said to Walter, we won't do that again. And no matter what. And it wasn't a question that either of those items that we picked up we were desperate for. We thought we were doing somebody that we do a lot of business with, somebody that we really like, and we want to see her, get through this thing, her business to be successful through this. We thought we were doing a favor. And then, no, you can't think that way. Mm-hmm. You really can't with it. Which brings up the whole thing with these people like the caremongers that I talked about last week. Some of them are still going and they're delivering things to people, which is great. But I won't do it. And maybe I'm a selfish person. I don't know, but I don't want to take the chance.
Well, plus our age group.
Well, yeah, I don't want to take the chance. You know.
I mean, there are people in their 30s and stuff doing this stuff, so they're younger. They can.
Yeah, I guess. I feel bad about that. I really do. But, you know, and when he went to the grocery store, I was a little worried about him going. He was just one, because they recommend, you know, the whole family shouldn't be going. One person from family should be going, right? And we've been trying to order stuff online. And in fact, we'd already had one order that we put through and got through Instacart at the same grocery store that Walter went to. And that worked out really well. But now you can't. It's 2 weeks before you can get a delivery time for it. So we had to really go. And we've stocked up. Believe me, we stocked up. We didn't hoard, but we stocked up on things. We already had a fair amount of stuff already. You know, so we're fine. But you got to plan ahead. So we have a delivery time in 2 weeks' time, and we have an order.
But got a thing pop up that Boris Johnson in the UK has got COVID-19 symptoms.
Well, they isolated him.
Mm.
So because they thought but he must must come. Yeah, in the UK they're only isolating for 7 days. Let's talk about that. Like, it's 14 here minimum. You know, I have a feeling there's some people wouldn't care if Boris Johnson had it, but anyways, I guess the whole point about the rambling on here about is how weird it feels, at least to me, to go out now.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You don't want to. And you know, the longer we're all isolated.
Actually, you're beginning to feel the way I felt when I was off with my leg for 6 weeks. And then when I went to actually go back to work, it freaked me out so bad that I couldn't make it the first day.
Yeah. Because they say it takes about 3 weeks to take a habit and make it into a routine. Well, we've been doing this for a little over 3 weeks, so it's now a routine. Now, I know there's people talking here, so I just want to see what is going on. Forzed. Liz says, hi Liz, St. Helens Island at La Ronde. Yeah. And Anne Warren, hi Anne. Yes, I agree. Unfortunately, there are a handful of my fellow Brits not taking this seriously. I can't stay at home as I'm out on the front line as a healthcare worker. No, you can't. And thank you to all the healthcare workers, because, I mean, everybody's thanking them now, but really, you deserve it, because you're there on the front lines of this. You're in the trenches in this war, and I hope you'll be safe. Prepper Princess is good, Jody says. YouTuber to watch. She's prepared for years. Chris says, our government has advised free childcare for all essential workers so that childcare centers don't close. All people with a job considered essential workers.
I believe that they're
doing that here too.
Only childcare that's available right now are for people that are working on the front lines.
Yeah.
That are essential workers.
Yeah. Our government, Chris says, has also advised they will pay businesses $1,500 Aussie per fortnight for each employee they keep employed, as long as they keep them employed for the next 6 months. Yeah, we have a similar plan happening here too. Jody says, I find myself not wanting to waste a teaspoon of food and thinking outside the box with preparing meals, trying to make my stock last longer than normal period. Yeah, I know. I think what that is survival instinct. Like I said earlier, we're not that long out of the trees. And we do still have some basic animal instincts. And one of the things that animals do is they will hoard and save up food for survival when they have a sense that there could be a shortage or whatever. And we're not unlike that. We're doing the same thing. And I find myself doing the same thing too. Walter's been making bread. So we have our own. Actually, we've been eating pretty well. But, you look at leftovers, and we're not throwing anything out. We're keeping it. We're eating it. We're trying to do the same thing. because who knows? But that's survival instinct, I think, that's kicking in. Bonnie says, that's why Prince Charles was out so quick then. Thought it was 14 days there too. No, I thought it was 14 days all around the world, but apparently in Britain it is not. It's only 7. Anne can probably tell us more about that since she lives in Britain. Chris says Boris Johnson was diagnosed with COVID-19 over a week ago now. He only has mild symptoms.
Well, I just saw something come up that he was admitted to hospital or something like that. A news feed.
Oh, so now he's been put in the hospital.
I think so. I saw it pop up on my screen, but I don't know.
Well,
Says Boris Johnson admitted to hospital with persistent coronavirus symptoms.
oh, okay. So there you go. That's the latest news on that one. Jody says it does feel weird. I'm frightened, no doubt. Yeah, and I think it's right to be frightened. In fact, I think more people should be a little bit more frightened, and maybe that would keep them inside a little bit more so. Jody says she's FaceTiming someone different each day for the social interaction. Yep. And Liz says, I'm afraid of going out tomorrow. I have to go do a blood test at the hospital. And because I have chronic myeloid leukemia, they're not canceling my appointment. Yeah. Well, that's got to be rough too. So, well, I hope. Cover up. I don't know. What can you do? So, what was I going to say here about... I got off talking here. Oh, yeah. So, FaceTiming. You know, the thing is, and this is something maybe we can move away more into, whatever everybody is doing to cope. I'm not bored. I'm not bored at all. In fact, I feel a little overwhelmed at points because there's so many projects I want to work on all at the same time. And then I realized, I said to myself, well, wait, I don't have any deadlines that I have are self-imposed deadlines. And right now, there is nothing I have to do and have done for any time soon with it. But I do like being busy because the other alternative, laying on the couch, eating bonbons, watching TV or YouTube. And don't want that. I mean, I'm still trying to follow our little diet, and I have lost weight. You've lost weight. So... in about another month, I'll be a hippie because I don't know what I'm going to do about my hair. I haven't looked them up yet, but I got to look up on YouTube how to cut your own hair. I'm not sure.
You shave my head bald.
Well, it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want your look. We do have some hair clippers, though, here at home, electric hair clippers, so I don't know. I've been giving myself little light trims on the parts I can see that are sticking up, but I'm sure if my hairdresser took a look at those things, she'd be going, what the hell are you doing to yourself? But she actually called us because we had appointments scheduled about a week or so ago, and of course we weren't going because her shop is shut down. I feel a little sorry for her because she's a sole proprietor, like... She rents a chair in a salon, and this is her sole income, basically, from what I know. So, you know, and she's a single lady. She doesn't have any children. She doesn't have a husband. She's early 50s. And, you know, this has got to be rough on her, too. And she did say, well, if you feel like, because I usually go in every 3 weeks to get my hair cut. And she says, well... For some of my longtime customers, and I've been going to her for like about 25 years or longer, actually longer than 25 years, she, you know, she could come to the house to cut my hair, but I don't want her to come into the house.
Yeah, earlier this year she had the regular flu, and she was cutting her hair.
Yeah, and she never got a flu shot, and she was, yeah. So
and that's definitely not social distancing.
No. Well, one... I don't want to put myself in danger, and I don't want to put her in danger. I mean, it's just, this, you know, it's the mentality, you know, like, well, she's not coughing, I'm not coughing. We know we don't have it. We don't know if we could be carriers. We haven't had exposure, but well, we went to the grocery store. And we went over and got stupid fabric.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was hacking up a lung or anything like that, but, you know, just, no. Is it worth it? I don't know. As I told her on the phone, I've always wondered what I'd look like with a mullet. So, ponytail maybe, something. I haven't had long hair since about grade 11. So, revisit my youth on that one. I was almost thinking of growing a beard, but I don't know. I don't know if I can, for one thing, and if I do, it will probably come in very white, and I'll look like Santa Claus.
Mine will come in salt and pepper.
What, yours will come in?
What, my
Oh yeah,
facial
yeah.
hair?
Well,
Yeah.
it's your mustache. I was going to say yeah, but it's not coming in on your head.
Oh,
Oh yeah, Laura says Walter can cut your hair. Yeah, no. Well, you never know. I might have to have him give me a little bit of a trim on the sides or something. I don't know. Right now, I'm not going to worry about it. It's the least of our worries.
you're going bald anyway.
I am not going bald. It's just where the gel is. Kind of bald, not bald. Bite me. Liz says, yes, I'll be covering up. Good. Jody says, I'm not bored at all. I feel bad for folks who don't have a hobby, etc. Yeah, really. And I think they're the ones you see on, you hear about, that the kids are driving them up the wall. Well, another reason why I'm glad we don't have kids. Oh my God. I see what people are posting on YouTube and on Facebook about their kids. And I have a feeling these people are going to run out in the streets and say, just give me the damn virus now, not another moment with these kids. So, yeah, I feel sorry for them.
Bonnie says she's going on YouTube to learn how to cut her own hair.
We could send pics to you at the end
It'll
of this
be
and
the-
see what we look like.
That'll be the coronavirus.
the, the COVID look. Yeah. Well, there's a guy that I watch. He talks about cruising. Lalito Loco. He's an American and he's in Florida and he cut his own hair the other day. Not good. Not good at all. But, oh well, it grows back. Well, I hope. As of 5th of April in Australia, we have 5,635 total cases, new cases 181 overnight, total deaths 34, new deaths overnight.
I think we're up to about 14,000 cases.
Oh, I think we're at 16,000.
Are we?
I think so. I think today they said it was about 16,000, and I think we've got something like 800 and some deaths. And, size-wise, Chris, Australia and Canada, in terms of population, are pretty close, because I think we're about 33 billion. I think you're like 25 or 26 million, something like that. So, comparable stats, I suppose, for the size of our demographic. And just going back here, Anne says, "Thank you. I go into my sewing room to distress after work to occupy my mind." Yeah, I'm really glad that I got into quilting and that because or crafting in general too. That's really been a godsend. So that's why I'm not bored at all. And plus, I read and always have, and
There's 14,018 cases confirmed
here in Canada.
in Canada. And I don't know how many.
So Australia's beating us, and they have a smaller population. Not a good thing, is it? When I say you're beating us,
No, they said 5,600.
oh, 5,000. Oh, we're beating them.
14,000.
Oh God.
But Quebec's a big problem. They've got
Yes.
almost 7,000 cases in Quebec, whereas in Ontario, Quebec has a smaller population than Ontario, and Ontario has a larger population, and we're up to 3,600 cases.
Yeah, I think Chris, your statistics are out of date because Walter's got the latest
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Quebec has 6,997 confirmed cases, and Ontario has 3,630 cases. British Columbia has 1,203. British Columbia is doing really good, actually.
Well, Bonnie says she just looked it up, and she says that Canada has a total of 14,000.
Yeah, 14,000.
So that's what. Yeah, okay. Finland, Mel says, has.
And 233 deaths.
Finland's had 1,927 confirmed cases, 28 deaths. However, okay, so here we are spewing forth the statistics. I don't think it is good to know the statistics.
Well, see, the thing is, it's 14,000 confirmed cases, but what they're doing in here is they're not testing everybody. So what happens is if you call and say, you call the healthcare and you say, I have the cough and all this other stuff, they may not even test you here. What happens is they'll test you if you're having trouble breathing.
Chris says she's getting her figures from what's been reported to the
Yeah.
WHO. Well, you want to know something? I try not to look at the numbers because you do that, it's disparaging. I mean, it puts you right into despair with all of that and statistics. I mean, the other day, Ontario's Premier Ford, he released the stats in Ontario for all of this stuff. And they had bar chart after bar chart after bar chart. And they're explaining, well, this curve here in comparison to this and over there, it meant nothing. It meant nothing. It didn't help you see things in a more positive light. It didn't help you. All it did was confuse you more than anything else.
It was best case scenario, worst case scenario, all kinds
Yeah.
of other stuff. And
I mean, the hell with the stats. Get on with the cure,
yeah,
is what I say. So, but of course, this is media pressure too in there.
Yeah.
The media loves numbers and all this kind of stuff. And that's the other enemy we've got right here now is the media. Well, I shouldn't say they're the enemy because they are always putting out the message, wash your hands, physically distance, which is the new term for it. They don't call it social distancing anymore because apparently people thought social distancing just meant you weren't supposed to talk to your friends or something. They weren't getting the point. I mean, there you go, stupid people. I see stupid people. So now they're calling it physical distancing. And I don't know, it's the media on the one hand, they're keeping us up to date with what our government's doing and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, the media still just loves to show you doom and gloom too. And after a while, you get numb to that. It's like back when you were a kid and you saw the news on TV and there was a war in Vietnam going on and you saw pictures from that war, it was usually 3 or 4 days, possibly a week before you saw actual images. And they were horrifying. Today, it's instantaneous and we get really numb to what the media tells us because all the media does is bombard us with bad news constantly.
Absolutely.
So we close it out of our mind. And that's not good because then people start to think, oh, I don't need to do what they're all telling us about because it's fake news, to use a term, right, from his nibshit. So actually what?
Oh, no. Bonnie said she wanted so much for keeping it light, right?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Bonnie said, why don't we change the subject and ask what we're working on?
Yeah, okay, that's what I was trying to do, Bonnie. So thanks for bringing us back to this, yeah.
Because we can talk to this.
Until we're blue, we're just as
Yeah.
bad as the media. Okay, so what else are we doing? Nothing.
I'm making bread. I made cinnamon rolls last night.
Yes, Walter made cinnamon rolls last night, and they're very good. Show what's your cinnamon.
Well, I froze some of them, so.
Show your buns.
Show my buns.
Walter's going to show you his buns. They're gooey. Oh, and they are good. They are damn good. And I made rice pudding today. Now you may say, why did I make rice pudding? Well, because I saw somebody making it on YouTube, and I haven't had rice pudding in years. And I don't know if I've ever actually really made rice pudding, but I did today, and it's delicious with fat, juicy, plump raisins, your favorite.
And
in
my
it.
buns have cream cheese icing on it.
Yeah, there goes the diets. Okay. It's comfort food, I guess. Bonnie says she made rolls twice in the past week, too. Oh my God, said you lost weight. Yeah, I love rice pudding.
I never have cinnamon rolls or donuts or anything.
No,
like
we
that.
never
We
do.
never do. And I thought, well, I had this package of cream cheese that was almost expired. And
It's the best kind.
and
It's the creamiest.
and I thought, well, what can I do with this?
Jody says, what did you put in your rice pudding? Rice?
Well, rice and milk.
No, well, it's just actually I'm going to have a little short video about it tomorrow on my vlog. I also have a little short video about Walter making his buns. on there tomorrow too. But basically, all it called for was 1.5 cups of cooked rice. I use basmati rice because that's the rice I have the best luck with, because you can boil the crap out of that. It turns out no problem. None of that, like, bring it to a boil, then shut it off, put a cover on it tight and let it sit for 3 days and then fluff. I've never had a lot of luck with that method, but with other rice. But with basmati rice, it's almost like cooking pasta. And then you mixed it with a third of a cup of sugar. So there's not a lot of sugar in it. Third of a cup of sugar, a quarter teaspoon of salt, another 1.5 cups of milk, and you put that in, and you sort of simmered it or on medium heat for about 20 minutes, so it gets kind of creamy and thick. Then you added 1 beaten egg, another 1/2 cup of milk, and your raisins. I added some cinnamon and nutmeg as well. It didn't call for that, but I think that's nice to have it. And yeah, and then you cook that for another 2 minutes. Then you took it off the heat, put in a tablespoon of butter, and a little bit, like a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and that's it. Simple. And I don't know, did you try any of my rice pudding?
Not yet.
Of course, he's not really a fan of rice pudding, I don't think.
Oh, that's all right.
No, that when he says it's all right, it means no, I'm not a fan. You have to speak Walter. So that's all that's in it. So there's a ton of different recipes for rice pudding. The one I saw yesterday on YouTube looked really good. They baked it. This is done on top of the stove. So, but I just had a hankering for it. It was one of my mother's favorites. She always liked rice pudding, and my grandmother used to make rice pudding all the time too.
Hey,
So-
Bonnie, that's a good idea. Hot cross
What's that?
buns. Making hot cross buns. I never thought of making those.
Oh yeah, I think one of those books that came with the bread maker has a recipe for hot cross
I
bunnies.
can look one up too.
You know what you call a rabbit if you catch it on fire? If you light it on fire, and it gets angry. It's a hot cross bunny. Ba-dum-bump. I'm here all week, people. Try a bun. What's that? I'm missing everything that's being said here. Hot cross bunnies. Oh, Mel says rice pudding is usually a Christmas time food here. Oh, that's interesting. Comfort food. Think lots of people are going for those. Yeah. Old time recipes. Chris says, so glad we bought exercise equipment about a month ago. One of these days we'll unpack it, and then we might look at it for a while. Eventually we'll work up the courage to use it. Yeah, see, every morning except Saturdays and Sundays, I don't do it on weekends, I get on my treadmill, and I started off doing about 20 minutes each day, but now I'm up to 35 minutes each day, and I walk. I don't run on it, I walk. I walk 4 kilometers an hour, and I burn about 430 calories on that. But also we're on this intermittent fasting thing, and I'm so used to it. And since I don't eat anything until lunch, and he makes lunch, and like, you're not going to get fat on the lunch he makes you one tiny little sandwich. A real treat is when I get a little dish of Kraft Dinner with a hot dog stuck in it, a bit of a hot dog. So yeah, but actually,
Bonnie, from 8 till 12.
yeah,
From 8 at night till 12 the next day. 16 hours, I think.
16 hours of fasting, yeah, sort of thing. And it is working. I've lost about 12 pounds since we started this. So that's okay. I'm actually discovering that I can get into jeans I could not get into for a while. So I'd like to lose a little bit more. Of course, we eat all those buns, but he did freeze half of them.
Yeah.
And we've only had one today. Probably have one later again, but yeah. Of course, I got rice pudding. Jody says, I started walking group in January, then bam, this happened. It's forced me to wipe the dust off my treadmill, so I've been on it every other day since March the 6th.
I've been trying to go for walks at least every other day for outside. And trying to keep away from people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I usually go with them on the walks sometimes. Depends on how busy I am in my sewing room. I'm about to quilt a quilt that I have down there. And I've got on my embroidery machine, like I do most of them now, and I've been perfecting my technique for this. So when I start working on this one, this will be the biggest quilt that I will have quilted on it. This one's almost the size of a queen size. If you saw my vlog last week, I showed that quilt, Doves of Hope quilt. Mel says she loves long walks with the dog, especially now when spring is starting, usually 9 to 12 kilometers per day. Well, that's pretty good.
That's a good walk.
Well, you're from Finland. The Scandinavian countries, you're all fit people. You're all very outdoorsy in the whole bit, you out there Nordic walking or whatever you do in the whole bit, which is good for you. That, that's actually really great that you guys have that sort of inbred in you. We need that in North America, because hard to say, we don't get a lot of exercise in North America. So, other things been doing. Been trying to watch different shows on Netflix. Found a really stupid one. Haven't finished it yet. It's a musical about a knight. It's called Gallivant. It's sort of a farce, tongue-in-cheek kind of satire deal. I don't think it's going to go very far. We saw what was that movie? Crawl on Prime, which actually was kind of hokey in fact that this girl goes off to her father's house during a hurricane in Florida, a Cat 5 or something hurricane. He's hurt himself in the crawl space under the house, and she's trying to get him out, and then two great big giant alligators, or are they crocodiles? Alligators are in there trying to eat them. It's all the things that a B-rated movie has in it.
Actually, what I was trying to figure out the other night or whatever was, in that movie, they had a storm sewer going into their basement.
Yeah, why would they have that? That's how the alligator got in.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I don't know. Well, the whole thing was.
It was stupid.
But it was kind of like you want to go, like, I like to watch those kind of movies and go, eat the main character. Go ahead. Eat them, eat them, eat them. Just the way I am. But
Mel says,
it's just an illusion about Nordic people.
And Bonnie says, yeah, it's kind of like we all live in igloos in Canada.
I thought all Nordic people were blonde haired and sung with three other people and did disco music. Like ABBA.
There's Impy's Creations. Who's that?
Aunt B. Yeah, Aunt B.
Oh.
Creation. Hi, Aunt B.
Hi.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess stereotypes. Okay, I get it. Yeah, like Walter said. There aren't any cases of coronavirus in none of it.
There is one now.
Oh, because I thought they would have none of it.
No.
Apparently
there is one now.
Anyways, that's a territory in Canada. It's called none of it. Because nobody wants it. Blonde and blue-green eyes. That's mostly true. Oh, okay.
Dutch background. I always had dark hair. And Dutch people are supposed to be fair too. But my mother always said that there were Spanish people that had invaded Holland at one point in time. So she figured that there was
Spanish in the woodshed.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of stereotypes about the Dutch that are true. Like, you don't realize there's other people in the world. That you're always right.
Yeah, we are.
If it's not Dutch, it's not much. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. Anyways, if you want a good laugh, though, dude, and I've got this on my links this week on my vlog, but look up coronavirus parodies. There's hundreds of them, and a lot of them are really, really funny. There's one that went viral on there. It's a family, and they're doing their version of one of the main songs from Les Miserables, and it's actually really quite funny. But of course, it's all to do with being isolated and the whole bit. But there's some people have really got a lot of creative talent. YouTube is just blown up since all this has happened. I mean, everybody's doing lives now. In fact, I was going to do a live during the week last week from my Idiot Quilter part of my channel, but I didn't. And I don't know how many more of them I'm going to do because there's so many out there. I don't know, what's another one kind of a thing. But maybe. Yeah, some people have been very clever. Yep. Yeah, I love the parodies. What else? Well, what's coming up this week? Nothing. We did have I did have a meeting of the executive of my guild, and we did it all via the internet. One of the women in my guild, she works for a company that they do a lot of webinars and things and meetings that way, and so she asked them if we could have permission to use their software or their connection. It's all online for our executive meeting, and they said sure. We got it for nothing, and it worked out really well. And so in our next guild meeting for the general membership, which is another week away, we're going to do it again that way. It was kind of fascinating. It worked really well. I mean, it wasn't really anything new to me. I've done that kind of thing before. I used to teach online for 3 years in my career at one point. So although we didn't really do it that way, but I'd had some experiences with that kind of stuff before. But it worked pretty good. Laura says, I'll bet you're staying home. Yeah, not planning.
Mel said in Helsinki, most public statues have been decorated with protective gear.
Oh. Yeah, well, that's, keeps people off the street. The only thing that's kind of a worry now is that the weather gets warmer here. You're itching to get out. Well, you can still get out. You can go out in your yard and rake it.
Yeah, I may be doing that this week.
And when I say we, I mean him. I don't really do yard work. My idea of a perfect yard is pavement. One end to the other. One big parking lot. That's good. They're easier to sweep. Vacuum. Yeah, I don't even do that. Steve, have any high school students taken you up on your offer to assist? No. Haven't had any takers on that one. I have a feeling, unless their parents make them do it, these kids aren't going to want to do it themselves either. Now, some of my friends that are teachers are still teaching, and they have younger kids at home. That's got to be a drag for them, because one of them, she was showing pictures on Facebook. She had work packages all made up for her kids. Her kids are still in elementary school, and she had a note and had personalized each set for each one of her kids and telling them what they're supposed to do. Okay, poor kid. That's what you get for having a parent that's a teacher. So, I don't know. But we don't have to worry about it. Oh, Jules. Hi, Jules. Well, pretty much missed everything, Jules, and we're not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to catch it on the replay. Sorry. Chris says, I'm working on a new craft project called Limpino Mia Curto do Manuel Dadas. It is Spanish. Well, what is it? Like, do tell. Sounds kind of intriguing. I can't pronounce it, so. Cleaning in my craft room. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking of starting to go through some of my stuff and sorting it out too, but yeah, I haven't done that yet. I just made a couple, I'll be showing them tomorrow, a couple of placemats that were in my embroidery hoop. You might want to know what Walter's been doing. What have you been doing, Walter?
Cooking.
Sleeping.
Cooking.
Well, what's your typical day like, Walter?
Spend a lot of time on the internet.
A lot of time in bed.
Yeah, well, no.
Well, what time do you get up?
Well, what time do you go to bed? What time do I go to bed?
I go to bed at my usual time, which is 9 o'clock. And I read for half an hour. And then what time do you go to bed?
Well, 3.
In the morning. And what time do you get up? Noon.
It depends.
So you see, actually, I'm on this forced diet because he makes lunch. So I don't get to eat anything until he gets up. So that's not really a
And
bad
I've been doing
thing.
your stupid income tax
You just got it today.
yesterday.
My income tax is a lot easier than yours.
No, actually, it's about the same.
Well, you got a lot more investments than I do.
Yeah, but all my investments are in registered products, so I don't have to do anything with those.
Oh, okay, fine. Oh, Aunt B says, don't do it. You'll never find anything again. Jules is making masks and lots of track time and a demand for them here. Yeah, there's a lot of over here. There's a lot of mixed information about doing masks, because they're saying that certain health
Right.
organizations won't take them because they're not right.
They're not safe. Or,
So people are making them here, but then you hear this and then
well,
you
like
think, well, please
our
don't-
local hospital said that they're looking for donations of PPE, but only manufactured donations.
yeah. So
The donations of manufactured goods, not they won't take homemade stuff.
so it's kind of up in the air. My guild was discussing this, and we
They
decided.
said that if you wanted to make face masks, that it would be for your own personal use.
Yeah, well, our guild said we put in links to different YouTube videos and spots where you get the instructions on how to make masks, and there's tons of them out there, and a lot of different styles too. But we as a group in the guild, we're not officially making it something that we're doing as a guild, mainly because you don't know who wants what. It's mixed messages are coming out. I'm just trying to catch up here. Jody says, oh, Bonnie says, do you use soft and stable in your placemats? No, I don't. These ones are done in the hoop, so I actually use with something called Battleizer. Battleizer is a type of very tightly woven quilt batting. It'll make it lay flat, but it'll still have a little bit of padding in it, and you do quilt them. And I use a water-soluble stabilizer, which you can wash out. In fact, I washed one of them out the other day, and I just did it in the sink. And then it was still damp the next day, so I threw it in the dryer, and it came out and looked like a bowl. Because this stuff is basically a glue. It dissolves in water, but it needs to be washed. To wash it out completely, you need to wash these in your washing machine several times. So I have done that, and they're fine now. But yes, masks very controversial, but I did make a headband with buttons on them so the elastic doesn't rest on her ears. Okay, I'm going to make masks for ourselves next week and leave a pocket in them to put it in a filter using vacuum cleaner bag filters. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard about that, about the filters too, and there was some debate as to what type of filter, if you couldn't get, the ones that 3M makes that are supposed to be, I forget what that, N something.
N95.
N95. And I have heard some people say use HEPA filters like they use in vacuums and things like that, but I don't know. That's the problem. No one seems to have a
And
definitive
is
statement
that-
about this.
Is breathing through a vacuum cleaner bag good for you?
I mean, I suggested one of those always pads with the wings. One, you don't need elastic because it'll just stick, and it's really tight little filter. And I don't know, maybe you can't breathe.
Put a plastic bag over your head.
Oh, that works. That's good on small children.
Yeah.
Here, hey, do you like balloons, little girl? Ever been inside one? Bonnie says she finds her ears get sore at the end of a 12-hour shift.
Actually, Mel, I thought of that. I thought you should make it out of fabric to have lips on them.
Well, I have seen some that are made with like a skull jaw, like a
Yeah.
jawline of a skull kind of a thing in it. Yeah. Well, I think you can have a lot of fun with that. You get one that says "Stay the fuck in." I heard that the HEPA filter has microparticles in them that is not good for breathing. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'd be sort of careful. Like,
Yeah, what you're stuffing them with.
like, you might end up causing yourself more harm than good.
But even if you go online and you find ones that come from medical institutions telling, there are ones saying this is how you make them. Other medical institutions are saying those aren't the right ones. So I don't know. Chris says, we're told here that if you are not immune compromised, not to use a mask, as using a mask can inhibit other germs you might breathe in and process, so it could affect your long-term immunity. I hadn't heard that before,
I'm
but
not wearing the mask all over the place. I wore a cotton one that Steve made in the grocery store. I mean, I don't know if it actually did any good or anything like that, but I just figured that, what the hell?
I made him a special one. I put big holes in it so he could breathe.
There were a few other people in the store that were wearing masks.
Bonnie says fiberglass filters.
Yeah.
Ooh. I am assuming, Bonnie, you mean don't use fiberglass filters. I would think.
Fibers, fiberglass fibers are not good to breathe in.
Mel says we could make a team project of funny mixed media face masks. Oh, there's an idea. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of things there, but like I said, I'm not bored. And I would say it's people who don't have any hobbies at all. Like this would kill my mother, because if she was still living in the apartment.
No, it wouldn't. She'd still be watching TV.
Oh, that's true. That is her hobby. Yeah, I forgot about that. My dad would go stir crazy, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so what else? Been trying to think of things that we can talk about so we don't have to talk about coronavirus and future lives. Because, as you know, everything comes back to that. But if we could get away from it, I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions of things we could talk about that are a little bit lighter, that other people would have thoughts about. I had half a thought of going through our wedding album and talking about how to plan a gay wedding the real way. It would mean I'd have to cut up a lot of other weddings, which I have no problem with, including our own. But I don't know. I'm trying to think outside the box here, people. I need help. So if you've got suggestions, you can send me an email or leave them in the comments below this when it comes out, and we'll go from there. So, what time is it? Oh, well, we're pretty much to the end of our time for today. Oh, no, she says, no, it is fiberglass that you're breathing from the HEPA filters. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not good for you.
No.
No, that's definitely not good. So, I guess we might as well trundle on. We have cinnamon rolls and rice pudding to eat yet. And Walter's making something. What are you making
Chicken
tonight?
paprika.
Making chicken paprika with spezzle. Spezzle's basically a type of little noodle-ish thing. I love spezzle. How about a Steven versus Walter cook-off?
No, I'd kill him.
I'd kill him because he would use every pot and pan in the house. And of course, he'd be standing there over my shoulder going, "You
We're
can't
not
do
good
that."
in the kitchen together.
No. Nice idea, though, but that would be our last if we were doing that. We don't have to worry about the virus at that point because all you would see is me choking the living daylights out of him and vice versa. That would be an interesting subject. What are differences with weddings? All differences, cultural and gender related, etc. Please no cook. Corona's enough misery. Thanks, Mel. Yeah, you're funny. Yeah, well, we'll think about it. But in the meantime, if you guys think of anything, let us know. I made sourdough sesame breadsticks. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, I guess a lot of people are making that starter stuff for sour bread dough. You know, where you...
Yeah, we were running low on yeast. And I started looking around for it online, and everybody's out of yeast. It's really hard to find right now. So,
you
but
solved
I
the
did
problem.
find one company in Toronto that had that supplies restaurants, and they would do send to an individual.
Well, tell them how
So-
much you got.
I accidentally hit the order button twice, so I got 2 pounds of yeast. Well, they were $5 each,
So we've got enough yeast to make bread for quite a long
and we
time.
have a lot of flour too.
And we actually have 2 bread makers. So we only usually use one, but may have to resurface the other one.
We bought a Costco bag of flour. That all I have to tell you is we bought a Costco bag of flour.
Jules says she's making masks for pharmacy and grocery workers, postal workers, and other individuals. However, hostels are asking for them. Anything is better than nothing. That's what they say, I guess. Bonnie says, are you on next Sunday with it being Easter? Darn right. We're going to talk.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. Oh, actually, we could have a special on how to kill a bunny.
Well, there's enough of them in the backyard.
How do you eat a chocolate bunny the proper way? Do you munch off its ears first, or do you start at its tail? But never mind. Making and eating lots of snacks and staring at the exercise equipment, thinking one day, Chris says, does anyone have recommendations of good books? And Chris says, Bunny Stew. Yeah. Any good books?
I don't read, so.
My problem is I read and then I forget what it was I read, which is really not really good when I used to be an English teacher, right? I wouldn't recommend the one I'm reading right now because it's weird. The American People, Volume 2. And it's all about the AIDS thing and stuff like that.
No, actually, I could have picked one up on the grocery store because on the way, they still put tempting things along the path to get to the checkout. They had a whole huge display of Lindt chocolate bunnies.
Ooh, chocolate bunnies.
I could have picked up a couple.
Chris bites off its ears first. Yeah. Bonnie says, where to buy an Easter bunny? Did you order one with your order? No. Actually, I won't eat a rabbit. I've had bad experiences with rabbit. Not necessarily because I hate the taste, but the first time I ever had rabbit was in Quebec City, New Year's time, back when my first year of teaching. And I went to Quebec City with a couple of other friends. It was before I met Walter. And we went to a really expensive restaurant. It was in like a house in the old part of the city. And they had rabbit on the menu, but they called it something else. It might have been Hossenfeather, whatever. And I think it was a German restaurant, actually. So that would make sense why it was called that. And I had it. And apparently it was wild bunny because they'd shot it with a shotgun and I was picking out pellets. And that bunny had been blown to hell. I mean, it was more like bunny. It wasn't even a stew. It was just shredded bunny. So that didn't go over well. And then years ago, we bought one that was already dressed, meaning, already cleaned up and everything. It was in the grocery store.
No, it was a domestic wrap.
It was a domestic wrap. It was already cleaned up and everything. You just had to pop it in the pan. So Walter cooked it. We put it on the table. I couldn't eat it because it looked like it was a chihuahua on its back because it had 4 little legs, like they'd all been, like stubs.
I ate
And
most of it.
Yeah, no, I won't touch bunny. Nope, sorry. Jules recommends this Tenderland. We have an Easter bilby, Chris says, in Australia. What's a bilby? Do we see bilbies? Or is that another Australian slang term for something? Okay, there's some good suggestions for books there. I may have to look them up. A bilby is a medium-sized marsupial. It's best known for rabbit-like ears. It has long, silky blue-gray fur and a long tail that is black with a white tip. I don't know if we saw any of those when we were there or not. It's light and delicate in bill, but with strongly clawed toes for digging burrows. We probably saw them. We have to look up those books. Well, whatever.
There. That's a,
Oh, that's a bilby? Oh, yeah, we saw those.
I think we saw them at the zoo.
I think we saw them at the zoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie says I meant a chocolate one. Oh, chocolate bunny. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I've got some bunnies left over from last year. Here's 2 little solid chocolate bunnies. And I think we have a few Santas as well if we get desperate. I mean, they kind of look like a bunny. from a distance. Okay, I think that's it today. Yeah, we're at 5:30, so that's an hour and a half, so good. Okay, so everybody keep safe. Have a
Yeah.
good week. If, like I said, if you've got suggestions for things that we can talk about more, you know, it's that so we don't have to dwell on this whole damn crisis thing. That'd be good. Open to any kind of suggestions. So just drop them into email to me. Email address is usually at the end of. Actually, it's not at the end of this video. It'll be at the end of my vlogs, but easy to find. Or just put it in the comments below. I'll see them on there. So everybody stay safe.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Stay
And
safe. Have
we'll
a good
see you.
week.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye bye.